Well. Here we are once again back with another great episode of the greatest podcast you will ever hear in your life. And that podcast is called The Bakery Podcast. Hold on, let me fix my camera. It's a little low. Hopefully it stays like that. But anywho, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of The Bakery. I'm your host with the most, the best, better than the rest, Mac Diesel. And today I want to talk about something that, a lot of people have done for many, many years. And it's something that I've implemented into my life that I'm going to probably continue to do. And that is going to be vision boards and future building, realistic goals, and small wins to get to those big goals. And then we're going to jump into a studio sesh, kind of talk about Mac Miller's album. And then also a movie that I recently watched called A Family Affair. Remember, I told y'all I'm going to be trying to find different movies, new, old, stuff I've never seen before. And just kind of give y'all an opinion on it, see how y'all feel about what I say, and then y'all go see it for yourself and, just kind of decide from there. But with that being said, let's not wait any further. Let's get into it. Now, when we're talking about vision boards, we're talking about something that not necessarily is a dream, but it's something that we've conjured the courage to put together to describe how we see our life in the near future. And I kind of want to break it down in a way that not only it helps me, but it could help you guys as well. I think it's such a dope idea because if you think about it, we all live everyday life, going to work, going home, thinking, why don't we have this? We want this. Why can't we have this? Yada, 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 so on and so forth. And there's so much that goes into it, right? So when you think about a vision board, you're thinking about everything that you could see that not possibly, but will go right for you. But you're building a foundation to where you are setting certain standards that are realistic, that'll get you to where you see yourself in the next few years or within a year or a couple months. You know what I'm saying? There's just steps to the process of doing the vision board and making it as simplistic as you can get it. So the first point I want to go into is future building. And when I say future building, I mean what are the things that we're looking for? What is the stuff that we're trying to get? What are we trying to grasp at, right? So some may say like, I want to lose 50 pounds. I want to pay off my car. I want to have at least $8,000 in my bank account by the end of 2 months. Just kind of stuff like that. I think that kind of thing is good for us as human beings because we're always thinking about life as a whole. We're always thinking like, man, I don't know if I'm going to make it to pay rent this time, or what if this job just isn't good for me? And it's a good thing to think about, but you also don't want to overthink it and put yourself in a position to where you're overthinking it and then you get stuck and scared and you kind of limit yourself from getting and pushing towards the biggest goal in the long-term run. So when you're future building, you're putting things in your head that not only do you see, but you plan on getting done for your future. For me, it was graduating college and getting a decent job. So thinking back to my journey when I was in college at the time, even before I was in college, I told myself, I want to go to school. I want to finish. I want to get it done because that degree is going to be one of the bigger accomplishments in the long run for me. So a lot of times I was in school, I had a hard time believing in myself because it was so hard. And I'm not saying I couldn't do what I needed to get done, but what I'm really saying is I made it harder on myself than I needed to. I put a lot of pressure. I didn't give myself a chance to believe in myself. I was very doubtful, scared, just all types of things. And as I went through the steps of going through college, setting up classes, financial aid, and all that good stuff, it allowed me to slow down and just really think and look at, okay, I know I want the degree, right? How am I going to get there? That requires a lot of studying. That requires a lot of me doing what I need to do. That requires me actually focusing on the more important things versus the college experience. And don't get me wrong, hey, you want to experience college for what it is, by all means, do that. But at the same time, you have to have a balance. It's okay to hang out. It's okay to do the things that you want to do. It's okay to go to parties every now and then. But at the same time, you have to realize, like, class is important. And that was my biggest take from being in college my first couple of years. So I knew, well, this is going towards my future. I can't mess this up. I really had to be focused on the important thing right now, and that's getting through my books, doing good in my classes, and making sure that my GPA is at a very reasonable standard, and I'm taking care of my business. So it was solely up to me. I didn't have anybody to breathe down my neck or constantly tell me, like, hey, you need to do this, you need to turn this on time. Yes, I had my support system encouraging me, but they weren't telling me how we had it, like in high school and middle school, like, you need to make sure you turn this in on Tuesday, or you need to make sure you turn this in. No, it was solely up to me. I had to be an adult. I had to make the decisions for myself, and I had to do the right thing to avoid the wrong thing. So that's just how I feel about future building. And eventually I narrowed it down. I got to where I was solidified in that process, and I was able to get the degree. So it ended up working out in it. And that's a small goal, getting to the bigger goal, which was finding another job or finding a decent job, which I do now. But now that I've gotten this decent job, I'm reaching even further for my future. So that's just a little insight on my journey. Everybody else's journey is different, but you take what you can, you take it all in, and you just process through it at the best way that you know possible. Point number 2, realistic goals. So the first time I built my vision board, I had the goals of, like I stated, getting a new car. I mean, well, that's the second point, but getting the degree first, then getting a new car. Then I allowed myself to be a little bit more creative, but also to a smaller scale, if that makes sense. And so when I say that is I put myself in a position to where I was like thinking, okay, what is it that I want to put on this vision board of mine? And so I started thinking, and I sat there for a couple minutes, and I was like, okay, I think I have a few ideas. So like I was saying, the degree was the first thing, which we were already en route for. Then next was, I believe it was getting a newer car, because I had 2 older cars that were given to me and blessed upon me by 2 family members that I appreciate to this day for what they did, because they didn't have to do that, but they wanted to help me out. And I'm forever grateful for that. And this camera just keeps on having a mind of its own. Thank you. Anyways, but the degree, then the car, right? So then once I got to that point, I started thinking, well, what about long term? Okay, we want to get a decent job, right? Easy. Then I want to get back into photography. Cool. Even smaller. Then I thought about, well, what about my living arrangements? What about life as a male in his 20s, getting closer to that next milestone in life, which is my 30s. And I was like, okay, let's take a detour here. So, and what I'll do is I'll put it up here so you guys can see it for yourself. But I also had like a big house, a family, photography, and I can't think of everything else that was on it. But I think another one was like helping my mom out, possibly retiring her, things like that. I think those things kind of put my mind into a perspective, and my life into a perspective of where I am now versus where I'm trying to go. So I was like, well, again, same mindset. What are the goals to get to these bigger goals? Again, I was already en route for one, which was my degree, but I also had to dissect each one and just try to give myself a realistic timeline for each one as far as where it was that I was going to be. I had to really buckle down. It took a lot out of me to want to continue, but I knew where I saw myself and where I wanted and where I needed to be. And I'm still on that journey. That journey hasn't stopped. Those goals haven't stopped. For me, there is no, oh man, like I didn't get to where I wanted within the year, or this isn't where I thought I'd be. No, none of that matters if you think about it. Like, we're all still human beings. We're all still figuring life out as we're growing, as we're getting older. So it's like, why even put that negative thought in your head to stop you from doing and getting where you're trying to be? I don't believe in quitting on something that I've already started, right? Let's say you start a game, right? And it's a story-based game, and there's certain levels that you have to play. But there's one specific level that you're stuck on right now, and you just keep playing it and playing it and playing it, and you can't beat it. But it's like, okay, let me put it into perspective. I know I can't beat it, but I don't have to beat it that day. I have time to do it and get it done. So you take your necessary breaks, but you always go back to what you're doing. You stop and you quit, there's a big chance that you're probably not want to go back. And there's a bigger chance that you don't go back at all. That's the thing that sucks about life, is we just overthink so many different things, and we don't give ourselves grace. We don't give ourselves a chance to appreciate what we've done so far. So then we think like, well, I'm never going to get to that point again, or I'm never going to be. No, screw that. Get your butt up, get your ass out of bed, and go for it. It's not going to get accomplished until you find the will to accomplish it. That's just how it is. And a lot of times I had those days where I felt like, man, I don't know what's going on. And then I sit there and I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Let's go, bruh. We got goals. There's no reason why I need to be sitting in the bed sulking, sad, because I'm not where I'm at. I need to do what I need to do to get there. And that's just how I look at it. Like, I'm not quitting. I can't quit on myself. I won't quit on myself, because I know in the back of my mind there's an end game for me. Not in a negative way, but in a positive way, that my end game is all the goals that I put and set for myself, and the timelines that I've given myself. And if I don't meet the timeline, so be it. I still have more days ahead of me to get there eventually. And if I had to take a detour, that's fine too. But I know where I'm headed, and I know the goal that I'm looking for. So just be realistic with what you put out to yourself, what you put on these vision boards, because there's no goal in this world not being able to be reached. But don't quit on yourself, because then you won't reach it. And third but not least, the final point is the small wins. The small wins are very beneficial. They are something that, again, like I said, continues to push and make you thrive, allow you to take a breath every once in a while. It's just like I explained, like with the video game, you have levels. You're gonna beat each level to get to the end of the game, which is the ultimate goal. You want to beat the game, right? So my experience with small goals, I didn't always look at them as a good thing. I always looked at them as like, yeah, I did it, but it's minor. Who cares? I don't care. I want the big present. I don't want these little presents. I want the bigger present. I sat there and I was like, after so many years of having small wins and not getting my big win, or like getting my big win every now and then, I just thought to myself, well, what's going on? Why do I feel like none of these matter? And I've also had conversations with so many different people in my life, from my mother, from my dad, from friends on Twitch, friends I've known for years. They've all told me the same thing, that I need to allow myself to appreciate the things that I have accomplished and sit and enjoy what it is that I did accomplish. I'm too focused on, oh yeah, I want to be the greatest. I want to be the best podcaster. I want to be the best Twitch streamer. I want to be the best at this. I want to be the best at that. Yeah, those are goals. If I can't enjoy and appreciate the small stuff that I do for those goals, then it's almost like, in my mind, it's almost like I'm being ungrateful. And it's like I don't appreciate the gift that I have. God gave me the gift to be passionate and self-driven and artistic and all of those things. But it was like I took those things for granted, right? And so it caused me to fall into a deep hole. It caused me to think negative all the time. It caused me to not want to believe in myself the way I should believe in myself. And I never understood why. It was like I didn't take it serious. And I was just out here thinking like, man, I suck. I this, I that. And it was just negative. Once I got my degree, once I got my job, and once I started actually doing the things that I enjoyed, it changed my mind so much, because between the talks and me accomplishing little things, I was able to understand. I was able to put myself in a position to where it's like, okay, this is a minor enjoyment of a little goal, but now I can move on to the next step to accomplish an even different goal, and a different goal, and a different goal, and then eventually I'm gonna get to that big present that I've been waiting for and talking about. That I'm gonna put myself in a position to be even more appreciative when I get to the end, because I knew this is where I was trying to get. I just had to step over these stones and jump through these ropes and these hurdles to get to the finish line. And that's the most important thing about being yourself, being self-driven, is because nobody's going to run your race for you. We all know that. But when we're running it at our own pace and we're accomplishing and doing the things that we need to do, that finish line is going to be so pretty and so beautiful. It's not even going to make any sense when you get there. With all that being said, I encourage everybody, enjoy the little things, enjoy the small wins, because the small wins are always going to add up to the big win, and it's just going to feel like you've never felt ever, or in so long, or whatever the case is. Just know that you're doing the right thing. You're doing good. You're doing a great job. But it's up to you to remember that, and it's up to you to keep that mindset to know that you're doing fine, and you're gonna be okay. Life may throw things at you all the time, but if you're not kicking life in the butt, life is gonna fight back and it's gonna beat you up. So I suggest you strap up your shoes, put them gloves on, and get to fighting back, because it ain't gonna stop. So be ready. But now that we got all that good stuff out the way, let's jump into a little studio says. Frick. I ain't done that in a minute. That sounds terrible. But anyways, the late and the great Mac Miller, man, what a great artist. His album, his 33rd album, I believe that's what I read, just dropped yesterday. And I kind of want to talk about it, my thoughts, how I felt about it, and just kind of go from there. I would say, if I had to give an opinion on it, I think it was a different sound. I think that it wasn't what I'm usually used to hearing. It was a different perspective with a different style to it. You know, him being a rapper, you expect a certain way, a certain sound, a certain, rhythm, cadence, all that. But it seemed to me it was more on the creative side. And what I mean when I say creative side, I feel like, all music's creative. All music's creative, no matter what it is that you're singing, rapping. All music is creative in its own way, in your way too. I think the way he put that album together, for it to be later and put out now, I think he was more artistic with it in his own way. I think it was the album that allowed, and I'm losing my train of thought, because I did read up on it and I read what his process, or not necessarily his process, but what he wanted it to be. But I think it was also a chance for us, the listeners, to just kind of listen to it and draw our own perspective on how we felt about the album. Because it wasn't a bunch of rapping, I'll tell you that. And it wasn't a bunch of him. More towards maybe like the third song, it was him. But as you go through it, it's just like it just gives yourself kind of a different way of thinking. Like, I can't really think of how I could describe it, but if I were to describe it, I took it as thinking about life when you were a kid, just like how young and free we were, being able to go outside and have fun with our friends, going to grade school and meeting new people and just being young and fruitful. I think we sometimes take that thing for granted because we don't enjoy life for what it is. We're so serious all the time. We're just going to work and going home and doing nothing else. Sometimes some of us don't go out. We don't go to the movies. We don't go golfing. We don't go bowling. We don't go play basketball. It's just work all the time. And I think for me, what I grasped from it, it was just like, kind of like how I said in the beginning of the podcast, just enjoying the little things. Like I'm enjoying this. I enjoy streaming, which I haven't done. I've only done it once maybe in the last couple days this week. And what else? Going on dates with your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your wife, your husband, whoever you choose to date. Liking somebody. There's so many things that we did when we were young that we don't do anymore. So I think that's kind of like what I took from it, is just kind of like transforming or going back in time to that time in our life where we were actually happy and just living. That's pretty much what I took from it. I think it was a very well thought out, put together album. And unfortunately, I hate that he's gone, but going back and listening to his other projects, it just really gave me a much more appreciation for him and a much more appreciation for music in itself. And just seeing like all these different artists, they're just so creative and they just do stuff that speaks to us in ways that it don't speak to other people. So that's all I can say. And finally, we've reached the last segment of the day, which is movies and friends. So I recently just watched A Family Affair. It is on Netflix with the actor and actress Zac Efron and Joey King. Liza Koshy's in it. I can't remember the other actors. Anywho, the movie was pretty good. It was actually kind of funny. It was kind of weird funny. I don't know. It was kind of dorky funny. It wasn't like, oh my God, let me laugh my butt off. No, it wasn't that funny, but it was good. It was a different side of movies that I haven't seen before, that I'm not usually into. But I figured, why not? You know, it seemed like a good idea at the time. So I was like, okay, let's watch it. And that movie was actually just like, kind of like an everyday, you know, you're living life. Well, let me not lie. I don't want to ruin the movie for y'all, but in the movie, Zac Efron plays a movie star. He ends up falling in love with his assistant's mom, and she didn't like it, and then they fought about it, but then she realized she couldn't. She was being very self-centered and selfish and always wanted to be about her, even with her friend. But then she just, like, later down the road just kind of, like, relaxed a little bit and allowed people to be people. So, you know, just kind of, I don't know. Like I said, I thought it was pretty cool. It was an interesting movie for something I'm not usually into watching. So, golly, I just studied so hard. It was fair for me to watch that. It was a different experience. I'm all about different experiences. I'm all about doing things that could change my perspective on a lot. So, yeah, it's pretty much it on that. I'm still trying to figure out what movie to watch next. Not only that, but different shows. Like Gilmore Girls, I watched like 2 episodes, 3 episodes. It's okay. I don't know. That's a long story. That's another story. It's another story for another time. Don't ask. Don't ask too many questions. Yeah. But anyways, that's all I got for y'all today. Sorry this episode's a little bit later than usual, but life happens, you know what I'm saying? So you never know what you're going to get at the end of the day. But as always, I appreciate y'all coming through. Thank y'all for always supporting me. Thank y'all for continuing to support me on this journey that I'm on. I'm not finished. I'm not done. I'm far from done. I do see myself dragging this a very long way. I'm going to do a lot with what I'm given right now. I'm going to do some stuff. I even plan on adding another segment to the podcast. I just don't know what it's going to be yet. But we're going to get there. And over time, we will be great. So with all that, I love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share. We're losing TikTok, y'all. We're losing TikTok. I got to get my last content out before they delete my freaking... We're not even going to talk about that. Maybe next episode. With that, I'm going to get out of here. And I'll see y'all on the next episode. Peace.